It's time for another episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas, the podcast covering the intersection of business, culture, entrepreneurship, and life in general here in the Ozarks. Whether you are considering a move to this area or trying to learn more about the place you call home, we've got something special for you. Here's our host, Randy Wilburn.
Hey folks, and welcome to another episode of the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast. I'm your host, Randy Wilburn, and I'm excited today because I'm here with a gentleman that I befriended a while ago. Actually, I was introduced to him by another friend, because that's what Northwest Arkansas is like. Everybody knows somebody that you need to know. And so this guest today is no different. And Coach Mike, as my boys call him, but Mike Trexler is just an outstanding track coach, among many things. And as I got to know him, he shared some really interesting information with me on a project that he was working on. And I wanted to share that with the audience here. Not only is he just somebody to come to if you need help, if you've got a kid that's running track in the Northwest Arkansas area and you want to get them to be faster. I mean, he coaches some of the fastest feet of young people in the state of Arkansas. So he is quite talented, and I wanted to sit down and talk with him because he's come up with an item, if you will, that could revolutionize how we work out at home and also how coaches, train their athletes. And so without further ado, Coach Mike Trexler, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for that introduction, Randy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So I'd love for you, as most of our people are used to hearing, just share your superhero origin story. How did you get to be you? I mean, you've got a PhD, you've done a lot, but why don't you give us the Cliff Note version of what got you here?
Okay, well, about 10 years ago, I decided I wanted to get back into coaching, sports performance, and all that. I was one of the original guys who trained from the Parisi Speed School. Is a place out of New Jersey that trained a lot of the NFL players going to the combine and trying to get them really fast. I was lucky enough to work with Matt Jones. Maybe a lot of people around here know that name. He was a quarterback for Arkansas. I was a speed coach for him. Mm-hmm. And he was a fabulous athlete. So I got into that. And then I met a couple kids I was training in Bentonville at Fuse Fitness and had a great speed program, had about 150 kids in the program. And I started meeting a few kids around here that really were underserved in terms of coaching and helping them to realize their potential, especially in track and field. So I decided to form a track club. I formed a track club with the USATF, which is United States of America Track and Field. It's the ones that go to the Olympics.
Right.
We're a junior Olympic team. So we formed that team, started getting kids on it. And since then, we've had 8 All-Americans, which means you finish top 8 in the country. I've had 2 national champions and dozens of kids gone on to colleges, with sports scholarships in a variety of areas and schools, mainly track and field, a couple in volleyball, actually.
Okay. And so I know that you have worked very closely with the University of Arkansas track and field program and have had an opportunity to kind of coach up some people that are trying to make the program there. How did that relationship start out?
Well, a long time ago, I was running Masters track and field. I met John McDonald, who's a legendary coach.
Sure.
And
I should add, by the way, because a lot of people don't realize this. They think it's the University of Oregon. But Northwest Arkansas, Fayetteville, is the original track town USA. Is that correct?
It's the original track town. We have 40 national championships, and nobody else has anything close to that. That's why.
Right.
But I was running Masters track and went and met with John McDonald, Coach McDonald, and he volunteered to coach me. So I volunteered to come and help the team however I could. And I ended up with the women's program through the coach Lonnie Green there, and I met some of the other coaches. And so I developed a good relationship with them. And over the years, after I developed this track club, Power Up Track Club, the coaches, when some of the kids would come and try out for the U of A team, they'd think, oh, we're going to try out for University of Arkansas. Well, it's one of the top programs in the entire world, and you don't just go there and walk on,
right.
So the coaches would funnel them back to me and said, hey, go work with Coach Mike and see if he can get you faster, or at least fast enough to be as a walk-on to our team. So it developed through that, personal relationships with coaches over there.
Wow. And there's actually some kids running on the track team right now that you've coached.
Yes, I've got 4 off of my team right now running for the Razorbacks, which I tell people we're the club that supplied more runners to Arkansas than any club in the world. But Because I don't know any other clubs that are sending kids there.
Yeah, that many.
That many.
So maybe you send one kid or two, but
we've got 4 currently.
Yeah. So if you're a parent of a young person that's running track right now and your kid is not being coached by Coach Mike and you want them to go to the University of Arkansas, you might need to have a meeting with him at some point. But I'm not a shill for Coach Mike. I just wanted to share that.
Well, I've got kids going to other schools too.
I know.
It's tough at Arkansas.
Everybody can't go to the U of A.
Not everybody can. No, not to run track anyway.
Right. So, no, that's awesome. So, okay, so you've kind of come through the process and you developed an academy, if you will. You're coaching these young people. And then you decided one day that, you know what, this is not enough. I need to create something. I mean, you saw a need and you filled it with this product that we're about to talk about. Now, I would love for you just to kind of talk about the genesis of how that came about.
Well, many years ago, I used this piece of exercise equipment. I was a guide runner for the U.S. Blind Association, and I happened to have to run with the number 1 400-meter guy in the world that was totally blind. He couldn't even see light. He was in total darkness. And the way you do that, you have a string, he holds onto it, and I hold on. And we have 2 lanes on the track, and they say go, and you see how fast you can run 400.
Wow.
Just like regular competition, but I'm called a guide runner. So I was panicking because I wasn't in good enough shape, and the guy said, if you can hurry up and get in shape and run a certain time, I'll take you to Sweden for 2 weeks. I said, okay, I'll do that.
Was this guy fast?
Oh, yeah, he's very fast. 49 seconds in a 400, totally blind. It was unbelievable, really.
Oh, my goodness.
So I started looking around for some exercise equipment that I could find and that would help me, get in shape quicker. And I found this little machine. It's a mechanical machine. It was on the original Skylab.
Okay.
I know there's a lot of people say, well, my exercise equipment's on Skylab or whatever, or the space station, but this truly was.
Yeah.
And it's just a mechanical piece of equipment. I started using it. It was fabulous. And this was over 20 years ago. And I thought, man, I would love to just keep this machine going. The patents had already expired on it and everything else. It's an old piece of mechanical equipment. So I started using that in my training, and it's great for vertical jump. I've had 4 Gatorade Players of the Year in volleyball, which is a jumping sport.
Wow.
My girls' basketball team in the 8th grade won the national championship. We trained a lot on the machine. And, of course, it's better for track, I think, than anything. So I've always used that mechanical piece. Well, about 5 years ago, I came up with an idea. I said, man, athletes a lot of times are not reporting what their coaches tell them to do, like at home. Now, right now is a perfect example.
Yeah.
You can't get with coaches. You've had 4 months at home or 3.5 months at home, and the coach sends them a workout. How does the coach know they're doing that workout?
Right.
Well, they don't.
Yeah.
Because you can say, yes, coach, I did 10 reps with a 20-pound dumbbell, but did they really? And did they do them right? So I decided, how could we do that? How could we measure their exercise? And I had a brainstorm one night, I think, in the middle of the night that, we need to approach it like a smartphone. Smartphones are connected. You can look at anything around the world. You can find out information. How can we measure exercise performance in a smart way?
Yeah.
So I kind of penciled it out in my head and said, if we can make a machine like that for individual use, you can use it in your bedroom, you can use it in the living room or wherever, then that might make the state of the art much better.
Yeah.
So I actually called a patent attorney, and he said, well, I don't really understand it, but if you'll come down to my office, I'll see what you got. So I went down there. He happened to be an electrical engineer, which is great because he understood exactly what I was thinking about. And I said, I'm going to show this all for Startup Junkie and Eureka Springs for a competition. He said, no, you can't do that. We have to file the patent today. You cannot expose this to the public. So he said, go in my conference room. You got 30 minutes, diagram it out, and I'll see what you got. So I went in there, and it's like the old story. You go to a restaurant, and you're writing things on a napkin furiously to hurry up, and here's my business idea.
Right.
Well, he gave me 30 minutes to diagram it out with a pencil and freehand. So I did, and he looked at it for a minute, and he said, I think you got something. He said, I don't think this has been done. He did a quick check and said, we can file a patent on this. So I filed the patent based on a drawing, and the basic premise is we use the old exercise machine, but on top of it, we put a computerized module that measures how much force every repetition you're performing does and converts it to a signal and transmits it wirelessly to your smartphone, wirelessly to a smartphone. So that makes it a smart exercise machine.
Right.
So it's a little more complicated than that, but in general, that's how it worked, that we're just measuring every rep. So a coach in California could even look at it while you're working out in Arkansas and look at your data and say, yes, you did a certain amount of work, and this is what we want you to be able to do. So you're verifying. It's accountability measure. You don't just tell the coach, I did 10 reps of something. It measures the actual force that you are providing on that exercise machine. It's a little box. You stand on the sides of it. You pull on a handle. We have about 8 different basic full body exercises you can do on it. And you complete a workout in 10 minutes or less.
Yeah.
Fabulous little piece of equipment.
Right. And so from this idea that you came up with and you utilized, and obviously you used it yourself, and in your mind, do you think what does it doesn't take the place of anything from a coaching perspective, but it does add another layer of, like you said, accountability for people to be able to not phone it in when they're working out. Right. So that's the whole idea behind it.
Yes.
And I think mating it to smart technology where you have so many devices out there. I mean, I have a smart watch on my wrist. They've got the Whoop strap and all these other different things that you can use nowadays that measure everything. And this falls in line with that in terms of its capability. Yeah,
here's the main difference I had to, I was trying to educate people on the value of this is people say, well, I've got a smart watch. I've got this and I've got, it measures my steps, measures this. It predicts the calories you're burning. Actually, most of the Apple Watches and everything else are more like GPS units. It can track how far you went. It tells you how far, but it doesn't tell you how much energy you used. It can predict calories, but it doesn't know your body composition or anything about you.
Right.
My machine actually measures every detail. It measures everything. It doesn't predict it. Plus, we don't use GPS at all. It's not to measure how many steps you went. It's to measure how much force you are able to exert. And we may prescribe you to do 2,000 units of force or 10,000.
Yeah.
This measures all that for you.
Okay. So it really has the ability to kind of set you up with regard to creating workouts that create some sustainability.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, the way that works is we have an app on your phone, smartphone, Android, iPhone, whatever. And within 1 minute, and I can do it in like 30 seconds, you can program a workout for yourself from your phone.
Yep.
Push download. It goes to the machine, wireless. And then the machine has your workout loaded and it tells you what to do next. Okay. It shows you what you're doing, how much force you're generating on every single repetition, and then moves on to the next exercise for you. And since it has its own internal Wi-Fi, you can do this on top of a mountain somewhere. You don't have to have a Wi-Fi signal. It creates its own Wi-Fi signal. So it makes it totally self-inclusive, and you can do the workout anywhere.
Okay. All right. Well, I love that. So what else, when you were kind of creating this power gym, what did you, I'm sure you had something in mind that you were looking at and you were like, if I can mate this with this over here and kind of bring these things together, then I think I have something. Because I've seen there's a lot of devices out there. I mean, there's almost, you're almost inundated with it, right? And I hate to say the P word, but Peloton has created, they've taken traditional devices, traditional units like a bicycle and now a treadmill, and they're mating it to their technology and creating actually a culture around it. But I mean, what did you look at and say, you know what, I want to mate these things together and make this make sense?
Well, not only can this, we have a full-blown, fully functional prototype now that took 2 years to develop, specific to this form of exercise. But since the patent is applied to the actual module, the computer module, the measurement module, the wireless transmission module, then we can apply that to other pieces of exercise equipment.
Sure.
You could actually outfit this into a gym. Because if you go to a gym, first, there's no accountability on dumbbells, and let's move beyond that and just go to the machines.
Right.
But, you can do a half rep on a machine. You don't have to go, so you could cheat and do 10 and say, yes, coach, I did 10.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's different types of reps. This measures. The coach might say, well, I want you to do 10,000 units. I don't care how many reps you do.
Right.
So you want to do a certain amount of work.
Okay.
So in this particular instance, we could take this module and start retrofitting other pieces of equipment with it, so you could have a measurement capability in real, watts and energy production rather than just simply measuring reps.
Okay. All right. I got you. And so it's really, I mean, again, getting back to the whole accountability factor, it really lets you determine whether or not you're really getting the most out of your time and effort in a workout.
Yes.
Okay.
I did want to make a point that kind of gets lost in this whole thing, and that is inside of the machine, I've created a recycling your own energy feature.
Okay.
You could consider it almost like a green machine.
Yep.
Because think about this. When you're exercising, you are giving energy from your body to the piece of equipment. Now, we're measuring how much energy that is, but if we could capture that energy, recycle it back to the internal battery inside the machine, you could use that energy to power all the electronics, the computer, the display, all the interfaces in that. You can use your own energy captured through a generator back to the battery to charge the battery. You know how you plug in something to the wall, electricity to charge your battery? Well, you can charge your battery through your own energy, your own repetition. So this is something that I hope really the public can see the value of that.
Right.
That you can self-power your own piece of exercise equipment that requires energy for the electronics.
And I could see this being used in a multitude of applications, like for those that are traveling through with RVs. You might even theoretically be able to use it on an airplane. I mean, a boat. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can utilize this.
Right. I always say to people, I said, you can use this on a mountaintop. You can get on top of a mountain. And somebody said, well, there's no Wi-Fi signal there because it's too high. I said, no, it creates its own Wi-Fi signal.
Okay.
So we've had some great engineers on this project.
Yeah.
And it's fun to be in this position right now to have a piece of technology that potentially could help a lot of people.
Yeah. And, I wanted to, so just in addition to that, and let's just expand upon the thing that, why, because I know somebody listening to this is like, listen, I've seen enough infomercials. I've seen enough programs about all of these different personal gyms, the ab roller, the one that Chuck Norris used to, the total gym or whatever. I mean, some of these have had some life. I mean, they've been around for a long time, but what really kind of separates you or makes you different from everything else out there? I know the technology's there and I get all of that, but in your mind's eye, what are you hoping is like one of the one things when people look at the power gym, they say, yeah, you know what? That is something different.
Well, I've got like 10 things in my head, but I'm gonna just go through and you pick out
that's
the
fine.
one that's
That's fine. That's
best
fine
for you. I think the main thing is portable. If it weighs about 10 to 12 pounds, you can just pick it up and carry it anywhere with you. So you have your own personal, individualized piece of exercise equipment you can carry around with you. You can throw it in the car. You can drag it out from under your bed. You can take it on vacation, like you mentioned before. So you have a personalized piece of exercise equipment that's smart. It is a smart machine. And again, going back to how you program it individually, I can program 10 people at one time if I wanted to on my phone app. I could put you on there and me and our kids and, a few people off the track team. And when you push download, all the information is stored in there and we could take turns exercising. And it's like something you could do at home with a family.
Yeah.
I just think during this time, with all this coronavirus, the pandemic situation, you have a sophisticated piece of exercise equipment you can use at home. You don't have to go to a gym. I go to 2 different gyms. And I'm telling you, the census is way down. When I go in there, it's like 20% of the people there, and you feel like you're intruding, somewhere because, everybody's wearing masks, and you got to keep 12 feet apart in my gym, not 6.
And you got to wipe everything down.
I mean, it's tougher.
You bring up a good point, and I think it's a good place to kind of talk about the fact that I don't know that gyms are ever going to be used the way they were used before this pandemic. I mean, we might eventually get there, but I think people are just getting comfortable. I mean, I work out at home. I have all kinds of workouts that I do at home, some basic stuff, right? Because let's face it. I mean, if I can do push-ups and I can do squats and I can do some leg lifts, I pretty much can do everything I need to do, right?
Right.
But when you think of it, I don't have to go to Planet Fitness. I don't have to go 24-hour fitness, just filed bankruptcy. So there is a huge market for, home systems. But I think the thing that separates that is that here it is, you can actually keep tabs on somebody.
Yes.
That where like I can work out. I can just say, yeah, I did 20, Navy SEAL push-ups. And it's like, great. That sounds like amazing. But, how did it really work out for you? And so I think that
You may have taken an hour to do them. You never know.
Exactly. Yeah, you never know. So I think that's the difference. So I mean, it sounds like this idea has come around at the most opportune time, but you still have to get the word out.
Yeah, I've been working on this since 2016. So I did, there was no talk of pandemics or anything like that. I just have always believed in this form of exercise, and maybe we can get into that in a minute. It's called isokinetic. The reason it's so good and the reason I love it is because I've been able to train kids on it without anybody getting hurt. Over 1,500 kids over a period of 10 years. Nobody's ever got an injury working out. And trust me, when you start going to junior high and high school and doing all kind of weight training programs and all, people are going to get hurt. People are going to get hurt in sports, So this is a safe way to exercise and get better. Also, you don't get sore doing it because it's a one-way resistance.
Right.
Think about your pulling hand, the pull cord on a weed eater or an old-style lawnmower where you're trying to get it started.
Yeah.
And it recoils back in.
Right.
So you don't have a negative resistance.
Yeah.
The negative part of an exercise is when you get sore because the muscle fibers start pulling apart as you go down.
Right.
So this is a one-way resistance. You stimulate the muscle to get faster, to get stronger, to get better. You don't tear it down. The old theory, I'm an old guy. You're a young guy, Randy.
Thank you.
I'll
take that.
Is, the funny part is, and you probably even heard this too, the coaches would tell us, you got to break the muscle down to get it stronger. You got to break it down, it down. You don't have to do that. Okay. That is not the way to do it. If you want to be a bodybuilder, I don't know, maybe that'll help a little bit.
Yeah.
But we're trying to get faster. We're trying to get better. We're trying to have more endurance and more speed and more power. There's a better, more scientific way to do it. It is through this isokinetic form of exercise.
So really, when you think of it from this type of exercise, anybody could benefit from it. The housewife to a young student like my boys who are training with you to somebody in a professional program, maybe a professional athlete. Everybody could benefit from the use of this because it allows, it just gives you, again, that accountability factor and the fact that you can get in and get a good workout on pretty quickly, right? What would you say, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the most?
Well, I hate to say it like this, but I can do a full body workout on this and get a result in 5 minutes. But I don't like to say that because people don't believe it.
Yeah, it sounds too good.
But
to be true.
I'm pretty much living proof of all that, and I've got dozens and dozens of kids who've been through that. You could go up to 10 minutes on it, but you really don't need it. Yeah. It's kind of like running track. I've had the fastest girls and guys in the state of Arkansas. People ask me occasionally, I say, well, man, y'all must work out all the time. How much do you run? I said, wow, my girl who still has the state record in the 400-meter dash, sometimes we'd work out as much as 3 minutes every other day. And I said, 3 minutes? Are you kidding? I said, no, if you run 6 200s in 30 seconds each, that's really 3 minutes of exercising. Yeah. You don't count the rest time and all that, but you don't need much to stimulate your muscles, your cardiovascular system to get better for performance.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because I kept thinking when you first originally invited me out to have the boys come out and work out with the track and my youngest so that he could be better on the soccer field, and my middle son because he was transitioning from swimming to running, I noticed how quickly, because you had like very short practices and, like every day as opposed to like these long 1 hour, 2 hour events. It was quick because like what I would tell them, we can't be late for practice because if we're late, it's over.
Yeah, that's right.
So, but I've seen the dramatic difference. And there, so it's just that whole understanding of how you can get the most out of somebody in the shortest period of time. And in essence, you've taken that same idea and made it to the power gym.
Right, exactly. And one of the buzzwords now in exercise and exercise science is HIIT, HIIT, high intensity interval training. That's what we do.
Yeah.
So you don't need to spend a lot of time. You don't need to, drag through an exercise program or jog. Jogging does nothing for your overall performance. It maybe get your muscles ready to work harder, but you don't need to jog for fitness. You need to do high intensity. And you know what? Kids can tolerate it much better than adults. When I get adults in a program, we have to take a little extra time.
Hold on, Coach, I need a little bit more of a rest.
We're going to do that right after this, Randy. Okay?
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. So, all right. Well, so tell me, what are your goals for Power Gym? Both short term, what are you trying to do in the near term with this Power Gym equipment? And then what is your long-term, what do you envision?
Well, I envision finding a manufacturing partner.
Okay.
We have a state-of-the-art prototype that's already developed. Matter of fact, I used two kind of local engineering departments at the university level to help me with this because it's so expensive to do anything from a development standpoint when you use engineers.
Yep.
By the way, I have a son that's an engineer, and man, I'll tell you, that's a great field to be in.
It is.
But I used John Brown University's electrical engineering and computer engineering department to help me prove the concept. In other words, prove that what I had as a idea or a vision actually worked, and they did that.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up having it at the University of Arkansas, and their students proved that not only it worked, but it could be converted into a commercial type product by using, a modular system of engineering. And then I hired a local engineering company here to build it out from that standpoint. So we put all the work into it from a very high level of degree of education and expertise.
Sure.
And the goal now is to find manufacturing partners that will help us fund enough units, to get it out there. So, hiring marketing companies and people to promote it from that standpoint is the ultimate goal.
Yep.
And to turn it into something that would be accessible to a wide variety of people.
Okay. So you have some plans. You have some short and long-term plans with regard to this. And are you, I'm trying to give people an idea. Is this something that I could go to Academy Sports and eventually buy one day, or maybe Walmart, that big company right up the road, or Amazon, or are you going to try to control this and maybe only direct sell it to the public?
Well, that's up in the air for now. When we were developing it at John Brown University, we had a board of advisors on this project because I also had it with the entrepreneur program at John Brown, which is basically the business department. And they developed a business plan along this and had some of their associates to be a advisory board. Mm-hmm. And some of the guys were from Walmart. And the consensus was this is not a typical Walmart product because it's more sophisticated and therefore more expensive. So the expense alone would probably prohibit it from being at Walmart. However, its own self-sufficient, or internal website or a direct marketing type approach would probably be best for this because the price point on this is going to be, somewhere between $500 and $700. Kind of like the Peloton.
Yeah.
You can't buy a Peloton at Walmart.
Well, a Peloton bike's almost $2,000 or more.
Well, I wrote a little article on that, contrasting Peloton with this machine. And Peloton would be a great candidate to come pick this thing up because they don't have, they have cardiovascular. This is a strength machine. First and foremost.
Right.
And it would fit right in because it has the wireless technology and all that stuff. So, I'm hoping I hope I didn't make them mad by writing that, other bikes are over $2,000 and you got to pay a monthly fee.
Yeah.
This is $500 to $700. You get a full body workout. So we'll see.
Okay. Well, and I'm glad you actually mentioned that because that'll dovetail nicely into my last two questions. One is, are you taking on investors for this project? Are you still open to that, or is this
Well, I'm open, but it's got to be a very specific situation, it just depends. But yes, I'm open to that.
Okay.
We need to get the machine produced on a larger scale. We pretty much perfected the prototype and know how it works. We know what it takes to do it. And I've got a CEO of an engineering company that already said they can build the whole thing for me. So we've got a lot of things in place.
Yep.
We just need to pull the trigger and execute.
Okay. All right. Well, I love that. So anybody listening to this particular episode of the podcast, how can they find you? What's the easiest way for them to connect with you?
Well, the easiest way is to go to an email address specific to this project. It's called PowerGymNow.
Okay.
All one word. So PowerGymNow@gmail.com would be the best way to get in touch.
We'll put that in the show notes as well.
Or maybe they can send you a message and you can send them.
Yeah, I'll make sure they can connect with you. And I think I should be able to put a link to the video that you shared with me.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah,
if we could link this up, because like I said, it has to be a very specific situation. We're looking to move forward.
Yeah.
And we're moving forward anyway.
Yep.
It's just we can go with greater speed and security if we have a solid investor.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So, Well, Coach Mike, I really appreciate you taking time to talk with us today about your background and experience and to also talk about the Power Gym, which really sounds exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing what the next chapter holds for this product, how you get it out there, and the fact that it's happening right here in Northwest Arkansas, which is huge. How long have you been here in Northwest Arkansas?
I've been here since 1990. I came here to be a professor at the University of Arkansas.
Okay. All right. And you never left?
Never left. It's a great place.
That's awesome. I love that.
Great place. Yeah. Came from Dallas too. So, I love the big city Dallas life, but I got here as a totally different story. It's a great place.
Yeah. I love that. That's awesome. Well, good.
I am Northwest Arkansas.
Exactly.
Randy.
Yeah. You are Northwest Arkansas. So I love that. Well,
awesome.
Coach Mike, I appreciate you taking the time today, and I'll make sure that everybody listening to this has a way to reach out and connect with you. You never know. There might be somebody either with deep pockets that are listening to this particular episode, or just somebody that wants to encourage you to keep moving forward because it sounds like such a great idea. And I got to say this just as just a side plug for Coach Mike, and I don't even know if you're taking on more runners, but he is an amazing track coach. If you have a young child you're trying to help them with their speed work, regardless of what sport they're in, Coach Mike is the person to see. He has a lot of kids out there every day. He does practices up in Bentonville and down in Fayetteville, but he's the man to talk to. And if nothing else, he's such a nice guy. You should reach out to him if you have any questions because you're trying to get your kids involved in sports or you're just trying to help them improve and get faster. I've seen the difference in my kids, so he definitely does practice what he preaches. So, Coach Mike, thank you so much.
Thank you, Randy. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Well, folks, there you have it. Another episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. I really appreciate Coach Mike coming on and sharing with us. And he has so much great information. We actually might even use some of this information with his marketing company up in New York that is currently helping him to advance the Power Gym system and move that out there and share it with the world. But if anybody listening, seriously, if you're listening to this and you're like, man, I know somebody that would be interested in partnering up with Coach Mike or somebody that you could connect him with, please feel free to do so. I've actually had a number of people that have listened to this podcast on a lot of different episodes, connect with different people that have been guests on the podcast. So that's also one of the things that I'm trying to do because like I've said before, and I'll say it again, it's all about relationships. It's not what you know, it's who you know. So I really want to encourage that. And again, I appreciate you checking out this particular episode. As always, you can check out I Am Northwest Arkansas wherever great podcasts can be found. And if you have the time and you feel inclined, please rate and review the podcast. Let us know what you think about it. And let's just keep it going strong. I'm getting some amazing testimonials from people that have been really impacted by this particular podcast. So thank you guys so much for all that you do. And I look forward to seeing you. As you know, the podcast comes out every Monday. We have a brand new episode for you of something great happening here in Northwest Arkansas or a great individual. So keep tuning in. Again, I appreciate every single one of you that takes time out of your schedule to listen to this podcast, to put it between your ears and to take it all in. So that's all I have for you today. I will see you next week. Peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. Check us out each and every week, available anywhere that great podcasts can be found. For show notes or more information on becoming a guest, visit IamNorthwestArkansas.com. We'll see you next week on I Am Northwest Arkansas.